Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indie Creative Comics Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Angel, with John Pepe.
How's it going, Angel?
It is wonderful, John. How are you, bro?
I'm good. Glad I was able to make it back in time for this interview. But I heard you had a good but brief review show this afternoon.
Brief, yeah, that's what my wife says sometimes.
Hey, happy anniversary, by the way.
Yes, thank you very much. 23 years, as older than some of these people that are going to be on the podcast. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
Listen, no, yeah, you could just tell the difference. Like, I literally was just like a robot that was just going through the steps. When there's nobody to talk to, it's just like bullet point to bullet point to bullet point off of that. But yeah, we would have had to good banter today, but we'll save some of what we have going on for next week, which would be great. I'm excited. Today we have some guests coming onto the show, which is really cool because this is the Indie Creator Comics Spotlight, where we actually bring on some creators to talk about themselves. The only thing I did want to mention before we get these guys on, because I know that we want to get them on as soon as fast as possible, but that rumor about Free Comic Book Day.
Oh, what?
Did you hear that?
No, I've been out of the loop, so I wasn't even in the shop at all this past weekend.
So this is off of Bleeding Cool. So this is basically just, this year it happened, but it happened because of PRH and it happened because of Lunar.
But
there.
Bleeding grain of salt.
Yes. But with a grain of salt, yeah, it still happens.
Sometimes those grains. Oh yeah, it did have. Yeah, but sometimes those grains do land. But yeah.
Right. So now we're looking at 2026, and for me, it was just important to mention only because a lot of the times it's the bread and butter for most comic shops, especially smaller ones, to drive in traffic that year to make up for some of the loss they get throughout the year, which is really important. And it's been going on for 20 plus years, no?
And and there was a question of whether or not there was going to be one for 2026. So
correct. So as far as we know, there should be. They're looking at giving it to the Comics Pro guys for this year for them to be able to launch. And then from what I understand, which is still speculation and rumor, that Ad Populus, who now owns that part of Diamond Comics, owns Free Comic Book Day, is looking to sell it off.
Right.
So that someone else runs it because they're not really a comic distribution company.
Right. They're the video game or the toy company, Ad Populum. What are they?
They're one or the other. I think they just wanted property to be able to sell. Graphic novels, not individual stuff. Yeah. But enough of that.
Well, I was just saying, just really quick for the uninitiated, just really quick. If you don't know about Free Comic Book Day, yes, it's a yearly event that is used to drive customers into the store. Free comics are given out. It's not that you can go in and grab a whole bunch of free comics. They are specially made comics for Free Comic Book Day that the retailers actually do put money up for to give out for free. Now, Diamond Comics owned that name, and so as Angel said, the new owners of Diamond Comics now have that name. They will either sell or license out Free Comic Book Day to some other entity so that we can at least still have one more year, hopefully many more, of basically the comic book shop national holiday.
Yes, I agree with everything that John said, but ignore the fact that there's specific comics for that day. You go into the shop, you grab whatever you want.
Yeah. And if Angel's working, you make sure he writes them all down. And then when they ring up the $500 tally, be like, wait, I thought they were free.
Yes, and leave them. That's funny. All right, well, we're going off on a tangent here. So we want to bring these guys on. These guys are from Terminus Comics. It's a gang of, I think, 20 people. Let's see if I can get them all on the screen. So we'll start with Lalo there, and Elizabeth there, and Alan there. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Hi. Well, this is going to be fun. All right, so we're going to have some rules because there's too many of us on. If you want to speak, you have to raise your hand, turn around in your chair, and then spit into the mic.
Sounds good.
All right, good. All right, wonderful. Hey, listen, guys, it's great to have you on. I know that you reached out on the website, which is great. We usually get flooded with people who sometimes are flaky. They'll write and then they'll never write back again because we actually said yes and they get scared. So it's all good. Kudos to you guys for being on. John and I are always excited to talk to people, especially on this side of what it is that we do. And I'm really excited to talk to you guys because you're at the very beginning stages of what you want to create, which oftentimes John and I talk to people who are already finished and are already promoting stuff that they have that's already either funded or getting ready to get funded or potentially in that process. And to have you guys at the stage that you're at is pretty exciting because we're going to hold you to it, and then hopefully when it's done, have you guys back on and talk about that process of making it done and sort of like you come back and being like it's done kind of thing. So we like to start normally with sort of like your background. So what got you into comics? Like what was the very first comic that you read? For most of us, I know it's not going to be indie stuff. If you've been reading it for a long time, it's going to be probably something like Spider-Man or Batman or something big that they got you in. If it's indie, I will be amazed. But then you definitely got into it when you were much older for that reason. So let's start from my left, which is probably your right. Let's start with, is it Lalo?
Yes, it is.
All right, cool, brother. Yeah, give us a little bit of spew on you, bro.
All right. Well, again, my name is Lalo. I'm
Brother,
18.
you can't introduce yourself and not the dog.
What's up?
You can't introduce yourself and not the dog.
That's the most important part of our team. That's our account.
Yeah, that's our manager right there.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Come here.
There he goes. Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy. His
boy.
name is Petronilo. He is
Petronilo.
a year old and he's a Pomeranian. He's not very
Nice.
smart, but he's our accountant.
Is he eating paper?
Yeah, I just unboxed dumbbells and now he's playing with the packaging.
That's fantastic. That's a
We
whole
only
issue
accept the
right
best
there.
of the best here.
Anyway.
All right, cool. So Lilo, what got you? What was your first comic? What got you into comics?
I mean, I never really started reading comics until very recently, but when I was younger, I was always like every other kid, I was always like super into superheroes and all that, Spider-Man, all that. And my dad really liked the Hulk and he showed me all these movies. And sometimes he'd talk about like the older shows, like the Hulk show with Lou Ferrigno and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's kind of what started all that with me. And I would always like, try to draw superheroes. And then now recently, now that I have like a job and money, I've been going out and like buying comics and stuff. And it's actually so cool. It's so fun. I love it.
I love it. Well, he said, first of all, he said he was 18. So I hate you because you're at the very beginning of your life there, which is fantastic. And the fact that because I think that's one of the things that John and I are always talking about. Like we're already sort of like in that middle age era. So we grew up with comics in, what were you going to say, John?
I like that, the middle age era. I like that.
Middle age era.
It classes it up a lot. I dig
I
that.
still got a lot of life there. And, so we've been reading comics since the late 70s, probably early 80s. And, before there were even comic shops around. So, reading stuff off of the liquor store racks and going into the 7-Elevens and picking up stuff from there. So we're always talking about where this next generation of readers is going to be coming from, because we're such in a technology-filled era that most of the stuff is either on webtoons or just reading off of, off of the tablets and stuff like that. My daughter, I love her to death, and she's so heavy into manga. So there's so many manga books in her room, and I can't read it for the life of me, even though I love it, because I cannot read backwards. It's a skill that I do not possess, no matter how many times I try. So it's really cool to see someone in that sort of like millennial, let's say millennial, alpha millennial age, that's really into comics right now, because we need more of those. All right, he walked away, so he's not listening to me anymore. Elizabeth, you're my favorite now.
Thank you, Angel. You all can also call me Liz or Elizabeth. Either works. So you asked me a really hard question because I've loved comics for as long as I can remember. If I really trace back in my memories, I was really into Lego Bionicles growing up. And yes, overall Legos in general was massive to me. I loved it so much. It's probably also why I became an engineer later on. I just love building stuff. But yeah, I started off with Lego Bionicles, and I was also really into superheroes as well. So both Marvel and DC. I know I'm a traitor, but
No, spread the love.
Comics
Yeah,
is
no, spread
comics.
the love, right? Spread the
Yes.
love. But I love them so. I love them so much. I grew up with like the graphic novels and everything. Mostly read on a digital format. I didn't really have access to like a physical comics. And then in elementary school, that's when I really started writing a lot. I've been writing as long as I can remember, and I also started writing and drawing my own comics when I was about 9 years old. Um, so yeah, it's been a passion for as long as I can remember, and then from there, it just evolved into manga, webtoons, really any. The Sonic IDW comics; those are what I really. Yeah, no, Alan and I, Alan Lalo and I nerd out so much over the Sonic comics, but yeah, lots of different mediums. Really hard to pinpoint exactly where it started.
Do you follow certain writers as a writer yourself?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat that?
Do you follow certain writers? Do you read certain writers that you like as a writer yourself?
I really, I really read anyone that I
Okay.
feel like there's no specific writers that I follow. I do recognize the names and such.
Mhm.
But for me, yeah, no, there's no specific one that I follow.
Okay. Cool. No worries. Alan, Duran.
What's up? So, for me, it's also like them. I started getting into comics when I was really young, maybe 7, 8. I think my first comic, I could not tell you the issue or like the run, but it was a Spider-Man comic, and it was with Black Cat, and I did not understand a single thing, but I loved it. But since then, I was always like really into superheroes, mostly. So interesting thing about me is I never was like I liked comics. I knew they were a thing, but it was never my interest.
Right.
I was always more of like an animation type of guy. I really liked like the Justice League cartoon, Teen Titans, movies like the. Honestly, I think I like DC more than Marvel, even though I like both of them.
I
DC makes
100%
great
agree.
animated movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this project we're working on, originally, I always envisioned it as an animated project, but I started delving into the medium of comics, especially because I was reading Invincible. I recently started reading a bit of the Max.
The Sam Keith
We've
Max?
been talking about the Max. Yeah, Sam Keith's Max.
Oh, dude, I love that art. Was crazy.
It's
Like
great.
back in the
I love it.
'90s, when that book came out, I grabbed the first issue and I just could not believe because it was so different from everybody else.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
I
look
don't
at
think
the
I've read
guys,
anything like it.
oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and for me, because back then it was more about the art than anything else. I was really big on art and people that stood out and stuff like that. So these image guys that went over and created, obviously, the image company, like Rob Liefeld stood out to me, Todd McFarlane stood out to me, Mark Silvestri stood out to me, Eric Larson, all these guys, Sam Keith, just crazy stuff that you could just, when you're flipping through the books or when you see it, you just know it's them, as opposed to somebody who kind of just blends into the sea of a whole bunch of artists. In that respects, who's John, the do a power bomb guy?
Oh,
What's
Daniel
his
Warren
name?
Johnson.
Fuck you! Oh, if I curse and it offends you, just cover your ears. But I curse out of excitement, not at you. Dude, if you guys do not know this guy, Daniel Warren Johnson, just phenomenal, just so different now. You would probably put him in the category of sort of like the later artist. He's an artist of the now generation. He's currently doing Transformers, or he's doing covers for Transformers.
Well, he
He
just
was going
wrapped
to
up.
Transform-
We
Right.
drew like the first year, but wrote the first 2 years and just wrapped up. Yeah, his 24 issue
Yeah.
run on that new
And he's
Transformers.
done a bunch of his own books.
Great
and if I
mini
would
do a
recommend-
power bomb that Angel
Dude,
mentioned. Yeah.
any book, if you just go to wherever you get books from, hopefully your local comic shop, plug, do a power bomb by Daniel Warren Johnson. You will be doing yourself a favor. It's a masterclass on writing because he wrote it and he drew it and he did the whole thing. He's a writer artist, and it's just a masterclass in how to do something really like the medium itself really well.
And it's one of those where even though it's a crazy scenario, definitely steeped in wrestling, but it really goes places without giving away too much. It's still a very personal story for him.
Mhm.
So as an indie comic, it just kind of fits right in that perfect niche. He also he's gotten to play in the playground of the big two. He did a Wonder Woman Dead Earth miniseries that was
Yeah, which was
very well
fantastic.
done, and a Beta Ray Bill miniseries a couple years ago from Marvel. So he's also one of those, and hopefully this generation we're looking at now gets to play in those sandboxes as well. But he's one of those guys, like Sam Keith too, like who's been able to play in both those sandboxes, the DC Marvel realm
Yes.
and then the self-published indie realm.
But and the only reason why I often refer this book, John and I have read so many, and week to week we're always doing reviews on particular books and stuff like that. And when you read this much, you tend to become a little bit immune to the same stuff that you see regurgitated out. And every now and then, when you see something that really stands out, that, like when you're reading words, I gotta go back because I'm gonna go off on a tangent right now. So just bear with me. When you watch a movie, you've got the score to listen to while the dialogue is being hit at you with the pictures that are hitting you. So you're being hit with all of this content that's supposed to strike you emotionally. When you're reading a comic, a graphic novel, whatever it is, whatever's going on in those panels, in between the gutters, or the spaces of the gutters, and what's going on with the dialogue is all that you have, and your imagination. When a writer artist can put something together that can evoke emotion in the reader, that's powerful. I can say unequivocally, Do a Powerbomb is the only freaking thing that I ever read that actually made me cry at the end. Like it elicited a response of me to cry at the end. Not like sob, but like it was. John, am I wrong? That fucking ending was fantastic.
It made me roll a tear too, man. Yeah, no, it was again, like what I said. Like you're playing in this really heightened reality where you get to make up the rules, but the story is deeply personal. That really cuts to the human experience. And that's that again. That is successful art.
Right. And the only reason why I recommend it to other fellow creators is so they can see where this thing can actually go, which is pretty cool. Because I think one of the things that is a challenge in this day and age, with as much content there is out there, is how do you keep those readers engaged and then coming back for more of what you're creating. So with that being said, I'll give you guys a stage. Alan, if you want to take the stage, just kind of let us know who you are, how you guys got together, and what it is that you're doing.
So, we met each other online. We all live in different states. We were part of this group where we were just creating stories, sharing stories, making characters. I think I met Lala when he was like 12. I was 15. I don't know how old Liz was. I think same age as me.
No, we were both 14 when we met. I remember. It was like late 2020. So it was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's so adorable.
We're 20. At least I'm 20.
All right,
20.
go ahead. Continue, yes.
So, yeah, we met through there. And over the years, we started noticing that a lot of our stories and our characters really fit well together. So we decided to essentially merge them and then redefine them, work them out, and put them out to the public, I guess. And you were mentioning about how it's really impressive, or like it's really cool, doing your art and your writing. Because I tried to do the comic myself, like all the writing myself. That was a horrible idea. I'm more of an artist than a writer. I can write, and I think I'm a good director. Liz, you can quote me on that. I don't know, but yeah, I mainly do the art. She does the writing, and Lalo's my assistant artist. He also does some of the character designs, colors. Yeah, Liz, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, so this story has been it's been in the making for years, we want to say, even before it was a comic, because we were all a community of friends and writers and artists that just wanted to come together and create. And again, like Alan said, comics are a lot of work, but all three of us are really passionate about this story, and so Lalo and I also wanted to be a part of the project and also help Alan out. And we do refer him as like the team director / team leader, but at the same time, I also it's a three-way leadership. Like I feel like all of us are on that same level of communication and decision making, to where not we don't feel like one or the other person is the one like always calling the shots. We're all working together on this, and specifically in the writing, while I am like the main writer, Alan and Lalo do proofread me, because it's always good to have those extra eyes. And in turn, I also look at their art. I would not call myself a experienced artist whatsoever, so I definitely couldn't. I definitely couldn't do it to the scale that they do, but I do help out with like the background / concept arts. And speaking more about concept art, Lalo is really he's really our backbone in that. He's always making concept art. Whenever I come on after class, I see him posting about it. So Lalo, if you want to talk more about it, you can go ahead.
Thank you for giving me the spotlights. Also, I'm sorry if y'all can hear my dog outside.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's your manager making deals, so it's
Yes.
Yeah, his mom came home, so you know he needs to see her in his office. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't really have much to say now because both Liz and Alan basically said everything that was on my mind. But yeah, Liz. Liz is a phenomenal Liz is a phenomenal writer, and Alan's a phenomenal artist. And I'm just back here, just like doodling and sketching, and I'm so amazed by what these two are doing. And I'm like, I'm just here thinking, am I helping out? Am I doing enough? Because most of the time, I'm just like, I'm really busy a lot. So I've got work and I got school, and most of the time I don't even like. Well, nowadays I don't really end up doing much of the concept art. I just kind of go to bed, but
that's a big
you should give yourself more credit.
No, yeah, you should. No, unironically, you should. Like he's really good at giving feedback. Like he's very observant, because he's a good person to confide in for good criticism. He's really good at giving feedback.
So it sounds like you guys have a solid collaboration where you respect each other's word and you respect each other's work and kind of getting together. And it's cool because, and there's other things that you're doing. You guys don't live in the same state at all, correct? So everything's done completely online, which is another challenge onto itself. But you never meet in person, do you?
I'm like, I'm technically like next door to Alan. We live in like neighboring states, and then Lalo's like a couple of hours away.
Okay,
so
but it's not like you can walk there.
It could happen.
Yeah, no, we've definitely talked about meeting up, and like I'm good friends with like some of like Alan's friends as well that I've known for years. So like we've talked about meeting up and such.
Yeah, no, and there's nothing wrong with that because a lot of people that John and I work with, we've never met them at all. I mean, some of these people are halfway across the world. That we work with as far as like artists and other people that we collaborate with as well. And that's the common these days. And I think that's to your advantage because you have somebody at your fingertips, regardless of whether they live 5,000 miles away or if they're right next door or in the building, whatever it is, which is pretty cool. All right, so talk to us a little bit more about what this project is and sort of like where you are at stages with the project. Now, I know that you mentioned that you were an animator and you kind of wanted this as an animation in the beginning. And it's funny that you said that because oftentimes when I talk to other creators that are from another medium that's within the same art medium, their thinking process is different. So, for instance, when John and I review, say, movie script writers that write for comics, we can tell. Just because you're reading the entire book rather than enjoying the images as well. It's finding that balance between the written word and the pictures, which the graphics, which is what's supposed to really drive the story. So it's supposed to be 50-50 kind of. I've seen other creators like animators who come in and you'll see that there's more frame by frame art than there needs to be. So it would be an artist using too much art, like a writer using too many words. So for me, it'd be interesting to find out if there's been any of those types of challenges, or are you at the very beginning of the stages where you haven't even laid pen to paper yet with the very first page of whatever it is that you're trying to create? So let me go back, because I know I did a lot there.
Yeah.
One, what's the name of your project if you want to give it? You know, what is it about? And then two, where are you with the project?
Right. So our project name is Haven. That's the name of the comic.
Okay.
I've already began, like, we practically have, like, specifically writing wise, like half of season 1, or what I call season 1.
There you go, see animator.
Yeah, that's the animator in me. Half of our season is essentially complete. We just reached chapter 20, which is like the halfway point, essentially.
Holy
chapter
moly.
20. It's issue 20.
Right.
Yeah.
We call them chapters just to organize ourselves, but they'll be called issues when released. Drawing wise or art wise, I'm still working on chapter 1, but the roughs are essentially done. The animator in me is I work very specifically where I need to have a character model designed for every single character, even background characters. So that's why it's taking a long time. But I like reusing art if I can and making the process really streamlined. So I'll make a bunch of background characters and then I'll plop them into the future, like have them as references and have like recurring faces. Or for example, I talked with Liz about this because our story takes place in like a futuristic setting, 2046, but it's a bit more advanced. We have like, for example, Liz, do you want to talk about Cappuccino, like our robot?
I would love to talk about cappuccino.
I want some cappuccino. Go for it.
You want some cappuccino? Okay, so this is going on a little bit of a tangent, but to give context, 2 of the main characters, they're best friends, like childhood best friends and everything, and they're in robotics together. And they basically have to make any kind of robot they want and premiere at a convention, a robot convention. And they made basically a coffee AI robot. So it's like a cute little robot that serves people coffee, and they're giving it to the local cafe as a way to help promote the business and be more connected with the community. And so, Alan, what was the original question there? I'm sorry, I went on a tangent. What about cappuccino specifically?
The reason I mentioned Cappuccino is, apart from just him, like he's a whole character design, right?
Yeah,
because he's gonna reoccur. Like obviously he's not a character.
Oh,
but he's a,
yeah.
The whole like lab robotics wise is gonna have like a ton of background elements, and then I have to reuse those same elements for the actual convention. So it's a long process because I don't just want to like draw it for one panel and then redo the whole thing, when I can have a full reference for it, and then it'll be easier for me when I do it in the future. Right. So the actual like rough art is pretty much done.
Yeah.
The actual assets, quote unquote, are, it takes a lot more time because I got to refine them, I got to make them look nice, and I can reuse them for the future for whatever chapters or the future.
And this is digital, correct? That you're working off of?
Yeah. So I really do want to do like on pen and paper, like inking, but for now it's just easier to do it on digital.
Yeah,
but,
and cheaper. Yeah, so normally when I talk to creators that are doing, it's hard because if you go back to these guys that were doing it, since the 40s, you look at Jack Kirby, you look at all the guys, all the way up, even into the 80s, it was all paper. I mean, pre-internet, it was all done on 11 by 17 boards. Some even use bigger boards than that and shrunk it down. And you see in auctions how much some of this stuff is going for. When I talk to creators now, it's mostly all digital. And what happens is that when you do it all digital, there's sort of like a devalue to your work because it can't be sold. There's no way in hell right now, I'm telling you right now, if you even say the 3 letters NFT, I just punch you in your neck because it doesn't mean anything to me. Like holding a comic in my hand means more than holding a tablet in my hand and scrolling through it. There's a convenience to hold through a tablet, so if I'm traveling, yes. But if I want that tangible product in my hand, the smell of the paper, the feel, all that stuff, gotta have it. And it's similar to like original art, and I collect original art. So most of the times, what I tell as creators is, listen, digital's faster. You can get your content out quicker. Do your covers traditionally. You can sell your covers. So that way, at least you have pages. If you go to a convention, you have art that you can sell down the line, or art that you can keep for yourself. There's certain pieces that I've drawn that I will never sell just because they're coochie good. I just resonate with them. But
Yeah.
if you do everything digital, then there's nothing tangible to give to hopefully fans that you create in the future.
And
Ron?
it's not uncommon these days for a lot of Bristol board, pen on paper board guys, traditional artists, comic artists, to do the mock up, the previs, right, digitally, print that out, and then do that, or base your art off of that, base your physical art off of that. So there is a way. It's like Angel said before, finding that balance, not only in words and pictures in your storytelling, but also that balance in using the advantages that you have today with the digital medium and combining that with the traditional, physical artwork. And you guys are at such a great advantage right now. A lot of stuff that what you were saying, it's like kind of made me think of like how creators they always have the benefit of what has come before. And you guys not only have the benefit of thousands of years of storytelling, right, that you can pull from, but you also have the last 20 years of advances in storytelling and the types of storytelling that are consumed, that you can play with, and it shows up in the script. I mean, the script pages that you sent us, read like an anime, and yet also are very artist friendly. Like you can tell that there's artists who are writing this, and so it's just that right level of detail, where you have enough to go on, but it does give the artist room to breathe. But it's not bare bones like Marvel method, right? Where there's that. Yeah. Hey, I have an idea. You draw it. Okay. Now I'm going to take what you drew and I'm just going to maybe make it different with my words, right? It's a symbiotic relationship that you guys going in with. Lalo also contributing to character designs that are in your head, right, Alan? So it's really neat to do that. And then as far as how you're structuring it and how you want to publish it, one of the things I think is really neat is, and I think, I think it's something how you should market this, because I don't think anyone's done it. It's the first anime comic book, in the fact that there's that, manga is the comic books and anime is the animation of sometimes of those comics. But what you're doing is you're creating an anime, but on paper. And it's a little bit of a reverse engineering, I feel. So I think that's something, if you leaned into that, I think that might hopefully get you noticed, because I think what you guys are doing great. It has all these great elements that have informed stuff that I've consumed, but also stuff that I haven't consumed, but I know is very popular now and has informed you guys. And again, Lalo, like, I love the fact that your dad showed you Incredible Hulk. When Angel and I were growing up, we were watching Incredible Hulk first run on Friday nights,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's cool. But yeah, that was kind of my just like how impressed I am with you guys. I do have a question. I definitely have a question that I want each of you to answer if you can, and I'm going to kind of bring you back, Elizabeth, to when Angel asked before, who are some of your favorite creators? Not necessarily who are your favorite creators, but what is the first writer or artist or just piece of work that blew your mind? Not the one that said, I want to go in, this makes me want to go into comics. The one that said, wow, comics can be so much more than what I've experienced up to this point. So I want to go, Alan, you can hit this one first.
Honestly,
it's not a test.
Honestly, so I feel like this is going to be a bit of a generic answer, but when I read it, and and especially now when it's being animated, I think you can take a guess, is Invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time, I was this is a really weird comparison. Lalo and I were really into Ben 10 at the time, and for some reason, watching like watching and then reading Invincible was like making Ben 10, but like for adults almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't read it when it was coming out. I read it after it already finished. You know, the
You were crawling when it was coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, essentially. But you know, I was reading it, and first off, the art style, like original Corey Walker, and then I forgot
Ryan Otley?
Ryan Otley.
Yes,
Ryan
yeah.
Otley.
The art style is just amazing. I loved it. The story, just really captivating. I love just how wild it gets. You know, I'm not a huge like how do I word this? I don't really put too much gore in my comics, like, but it felt really like the stakes were really high, and it really felt like it's not like a traditional like Marvel or DC comic. You know how they say like you never really die in comics or whatever. Like it felt like the stakes were way higher. It honestly just felt really captivating to read. And then recently, you know, I mentioned the Max, like the story wise, like the themes, the art, it was amazing. I haven't seen anything like it since.
Yeah, when it comes to the Invincible, I mean, Robert Kirkman, I mean, he wrote The Walking Dead, and we saw how big that got. So, and what's really interesting is that because you guys were at the very beginning of your journey, and I think oftentimes, and listen, I'm always going to interject some kind of advice because I've been doing this long enough where I know where people are in certain stages, and depending on your personality type, sometimes we can be really rigid and hold on to things that we don't need to hold on to. And a perfect example is Invincible. So if we look at Invincible, I think by issue, God, I can't remember what it was, but I remember Robert Kirkman saying Jim Valentino came up to him. The book was going to get canceled because it was not selling. And he was like, you know, what do you have that can turn this around? And it wasn't until issue 25 that Robert Kirkman had Omni-Man coming out and killing everybody. So it was early on. I think it was before issue 12. So a book that was on the verge of being canceled and Robert Kirkman didn't have a reveal until 25, he had to make a change. And that change was bring it in sooner or no books at all. And as soon as he made that change, what happened? We got 140 something issues to finish off the entire run, which is crazy. So the flexibility of being able to say, you know what, if I need to take this and move it from here, or I need to change certain things, especially when you're collaborating, because listen, this is what I call the honeymoon period, where everybody's on the same page. But as soon as somebody has a different idea, especially when you're collaborating with other people that clash with yours, there needs to be a give and take. And sometimes what's great about this medium is you can do it a million different ways. Step back and say, fuck, I like that, I like that, I like that, I don't like that, and then come to some kind of agreement where you just push forward. And a lot of the times, that's going to come from your fans as well. So as soon as you put that first one out, you're going to have people come and say, bam, you got your followers, they're going to come follow you, and then they'll give you some stuff along the way. When you throw out more stuff, they'll let you know. And in this day and age, trust me, they will let you know if it sucks or if it's good. But it's all subjective at the very end as well, because it is art at its very core. But yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because you know, for me, John, when we do our reviews, John is our natural historian. He could tell you, pick in the history of any book that you actually pick up. Who wrote it? Who was their father? Who was this kid? Whatever it is. It's the most aggravating thing that he does. But really vital, because that research allows us to really understand what happened behind the scenes for certain things to come out in books, and how some books may never have existed because of other books or other writers or other inspirations. So it's pretty cool. All right, I went off on a tangent. Elizabeth, your turn.
Oh, really quick though, Alan, I know Angel said it wasn't a test, but that was the correct answer, because you know how I know on your Instagram page, you made sure that there was a little Invincible Haven crossover there. So
Yeah.
that was very cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you saw that.
I'm glad I did see it. Yeah, Elizabeth, what blew your mind? What made you realize, wow, this is more than just what I've experienced up to this point?
Okay, so you forced me down a whole rabbit hole in my memories. I had to go way back, but um like I said, I was really into Legos growing up. So I started off with like the Lego Bionicles comics. And I actually just searched them up right now and I got a wave of flashbacks. But that's really how it started. What a comic series, or I should, yeah, a comic series that really, really impacted me. It was specifically the Sonic IDW comics, and it's when they introduced the metal virus, like that entire arc. I remember when Alan first showed the IDW comic series to me. I was I wasn't sure if I would how much I would like it because I know how like the Archie comics went and whatnot, and then I just ended up falling in love with like the series, especially like once they got to the Melivirus part. The writing for like okay, I know Ian Flynn. Like some people aren't a huge fan of like how he does his writing, but I personally really love the deliberate detail in when to show emotion and when not to show emotion, when action is necessary and when it's not necessary. That really inspired me, and I hope it kind of shows in the way that I write. I feel like something that a lot of writers tend to do nowadays is they don't know the I would say the appropriate time and place to input like a joke or to
Mm.
input like a serious moment. The timing is so important, and I love when writers are able to just make the scene feel natural. And it's really funny to me how you mentioned like you feel like there's some anime aspects to it. I do really love anime. I didn't get into anime though, funny enough, until I was a little bit older. But my mom first introduced it to me when I was younger. She introduced me to Dragon Ball. Um, and she introduced me to like Sailor Moon and a couple of other animes. So that is a really big inspiration for me. It wasn't intentional, but I'm happy that that I was able to grab some of that inspiration from like other mediums and put that in my writing.
Nice. Lalo,
Cool.
before I ask you the question, Elizabeth and Alan, you referenced, Bionicle and Sonic comics, and you mentioned Ben 10, and there was comics for Ben 10 as well.
Mhm.
But were you finding the comics first, or did you find the comics because you were either into the toys or the animated, for Sonic or Bionicle or Ben 10? Just out of a curiosity as to, because I know a lot of us from our generation, Angel and I, we knew the Super Friends and Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends, and that would lead us to those comics. In some cases, you would get the comic first, but it's those cartoons for us were the gateway drug. So I was kind of curious.
Oh, Alan, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So specifically for Sonic, it's funny. I think I discovered the comics first before I did any single game or the shows or whatever. And it's in a really weird spot. I was at a grocery store, and I think they called the Super Digest or something, but they were like a bunch of collections of the Archie comics. I picked them up and I just fell in love with them, and I kept collecting them. I have like a full stack of them somewhere in my house. I don't know where they are. But yeah, I fell in love with those, and honestly, the reason I really love them, I think honestly, compared to Liz, she likes the IDW Sonic comics, and then Archie was its own predecessor, like its own thing. They had a lot more freedom. They didn't have to follow like the games, quote unquote. Like now they have whole like regulations, like Sonic can't show too much emotion, he can't cry. I get it. She likes it, but I just think Archie's way better, specifically like in certain arcs. And they had to like restructure their whole writing system at some point because it was a whole mess.
It's like the difference between Silver Age Batman and Modern Age Batman.
Yes,
right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. For Ben 10, I read some of the comics, but I think they're not as, I wouldn't say they're like bad, but they're not as captivating as like the show or whatever. I think that's just the thing with like TV shows to comics. Usually they're trying to piggyback off what the show did instead of like trying to take it to its own direction, which I feel like that's what made Archie Sonic like specifically like very special. It was its own thing. It wasn't trying to be like the games. It was making its own stories, doing its own thing with the characters. So when you do that with like a comic that's based off like a TV show or a movie or whatever, I just don't think it hits the same. But the art at least was pretty good. I don't say I don't know about the writing, but
So, so for me, I did grow up playing Legos, but the shows itself, like Ninjago, Legends of Chima, the Bionicle movies, I actually got introduced to those after I saw the comics. So at my school in the library, they had a graphic novel section, and I would always go there. I would always go to the graphic novel section, and then that's when I saw like, again, I saw like Ninjago or like Legends of Chima or like Bionicle. I'm like, oh, what's all of this? And then I realized that they're shows, and I started watching them, and I just fell in love with them. And it's all spiraled from there.
Nice. All right, Lalo, what was it? What blew your mind? What opened your mind to the power and magic of comics?
All right. Well, as much as I hate to do this to y'all, my answer is practically Alan's answer. With you know.
Yeah, you had that look that he stole your answer when he said,
Yeah, it's like I said, I didn't get really into comics until very recently in my life, like around the time me and Alan met, basically. I was always a huge Ben 10 fan, and that really inspired me. And I would read the comics, and like Alan said, they were okay. It was more so like a cash grab than anything else. And but yeah, when Invincible dropped, I thought like, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Like season 1, and how it's like there's actual meaningful stuff going on. There's like there's stakes, like Alan said. And then as soon as I finished season 1, I went directly to like those pirating sites where you could just read comics and get like 1 billion ads immediately.
that's a video game in and of itself, knocking those pop-ups out.
Yeah, dude, I got in trouble because some stuff that would pop up, Lord.
Yeah.
Anyway, that night I read the entirety of Invincible up till like 4 a.m. It was amazing. It's probably one of the greatest reading experiences I've ever had, and that's what like truly inspired me to help work on the project we're working on now, because I want to make something that makes people feel the way I felt when I read Invincible, because it's phenomenal,
Yeah, it's it's
feel things.
It's true because it's really contemporary. So you guys are all on the same page, which is fantastic. So I think John and I would probably challenge you to broaden out a little bit, because I'm in that superhero genre. The stuff that we're doing right now, I love the superhero genre. Still read the main 2. Batman is still my dude. Superman will always be second. Spider-Man is all right. I was never an Avengers guy, but I still read. The new Punisher Red Band just came out. Reading that because I love Frank Miller, love Punisher, and I love Benjamin Percy's great writer. So, but then there's stuff that's out there, and one of the things that I'm going to challenge you guys with is to find that stuff. Like Mark Millar is really great at superhero stuff that's using the superhero trope, but in such a unique way. So if we look at Nightclub, which is this vampire kind of superhero book, if we look at Superior, which is sort of like the Superman of his universe, if we look at Nemesis, which is sort of like the Batman, but he's a dick, he's evil, he wants to kill everybody rather than save everybody. There's all these superhero tropes that he takes and he flips them on their head, and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know I can go that direction. And for you guys doing that same genre, this would be a question that I would ask. Anybody can answer it. What are you doing with, because it's going to fall within that superhero genre, correct?
Yes.
So what are you guys looking at doing different in that trope of the superhero genre? What's your audience that you want to attract to the type of superhero story that you're writing, and how is it going to make it stand out from, say, all the other superhero stories that are out there?
It's funny because we were just talking about this recently.
See, great minds.
Before,
but these are things. Yeah, okay. But these are things that we're constantly. Where my partner and I, Justin, who's the other half of indie creative comics, we're always talking about. And there's so much out there, and when you're gonna get ready to present it to the world, who's the audience, and how are you gonna take this out to the mass? Go ahead, Liz.
All right. Yeah, so it's really funny you mentioned that because I vividly remember having this, like we were all having this conversation, and when Alan, Lalo, and I were reading the script, we were like, "Wow, this feels different," and it kind of relates to what John was saying earlier about how it's using like several different types of mediums in a way, like drawing inspirations from different types of mediums. So I can start there. So something that I believe is pretty unique about our comic is that we are a superhero genre, but we don't like to limit ourselves to it being about superheroes. Having superheroes in it is part of the story, but it's not the entire story. So we like to explore a lot of very real themes. Something that we really emphasize is world building. So seeing every panel and seeing things in the background come up again later on, right? Like he was saying, like Alan was saying, he wants to reuse like different backgrounds, different models, and that's yes, it's for the convenience of the artist, but it's also part of the world building because we want the readers to grow comfortable with the atmosphere and get to know this world almost like as if they're a part of it. And another thing about the storytelling that we're trying to do right now is that we intentionally made the characters like that, like middle, like high school range, and that can definitely fall under the superhero trope, especially with Spider-Man, right, starting out in high school and whatnot. But we want the story to feel like as you read it, you're growing up with the characters. So for our intended audience, it's I wouldn't say young teens, but more so like in the high school range, even like college students like us, like our age, right? And we want the readers to feel like, oh, like this is relatable. So, and I feel like that's something that can be really special about superheroes that my friend and I were just talking about recently. We're very used to superheroes being this sort of really powerful person, whether that's strength wise, raw power wise, some way they feel like something you can't reach. While the world building we have going on here, it almost feels like a mirrored version of the world we live in now. And as we read, we see through the eyes of the characters. So how we're structuring the story is that with each volume or like each season, is that there's three main characters. We like to like the main trio. We like to say, and we see the story through each of their eyes. So even though we see everyone, right, it's told in third person. It's told in third person. But there's a different focus depending on who you're reading through. So if you read through Apollo, it's going to be different from Cass. It's going to be different from Victor. And we feel like that's pretty unique about us because the storytelling, it gives us freedom to experiment with the storytelling without going so far away from what our original style is. It's supposed to be a very flexible storytelling style that will in a way change and evolve and grow as you go through the story. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Yes. Yeah.
Also having them, in that age range, again, aside from getting the character's journey as they grow, from a marketing standpoint is brilliant because it puts you in that very lucrative YA category. And that's big right now. The young adult fiction is very big right now. And again, compelling characters. It's all about the characters. You want the characters to be complicated but relatable to keep your audience, to pull your audience in with the spectacle, but you keep the audience with your character's journey. So right on.
Yeah. All right, cool. So you guys have story, you guys have script, you have character design stuff going on. Now let's just quickly talk about just logistics. So do you have a timeline? Are you doing single issues? Are you doing a graphic novel based release? Are you planning on going to shows? Are you looking for distribution? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's okay. You can just say, Angel, I have no idea what you're talking about. But like, what's your overall plan for what you have right now? Because you have 20 issues. 20 issues is probably more than what most creators actually even do before they like start drawing stuff out. Like writer artists usually will have a whole book done or 3 books done before they even have 1 script done. Think about that. You guys already have 20 scripts, so you're to me you're way ahead of the game because you already have a really big foundation. And before you answer that question, Alan, really quickly, do you know the ending? Yes or no?
The ending.
The ending of your story.
Oh,
do we know the ending? Go like this. Go like this.
The base. We know what's gonna happen, but we haven't like fleshed it out. But
Okay.
we know like the general gist of it.
Well, we have because this has been a story that we've technically been making for years, we have a lot of storylines that we technically have written in a way. So we know the general direction and like the general ending that we want to aim for, but we're open to experimenting depending on multiple factors. So like how maybe the audience reacts, or if we
Right.
decide something needs to change along the way.
Get it. Infamous words of Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn, did Spider-Man. Freaking love him. At the beginning, know the ending. It doesn't matter how many issues are in between those two. You know how it's going to end. How you get there can be 20 issues, 50 issues. He's on 300 plus issues of Spawn, but he knows the ending. So as long as you know the ending, your way will never get lost. It will expand because there may be multiple journeys that happen between that, but you know what's going to happen at the very end. And as long as you don't lose sight of that, it'll keep you on the right path. So yeah, so know you obviously have a start because you have 20 issues in. Just know where it's going to end. It doesn't matter how many issues it takes to get to that ending. It can be 30, it can be 143, it could be 300, but you know how it's going to end ultimately. All right, cool. So what are you guys looking to do? Are you looking for individual issues? Are you looking at releases as a graphic novel?
So at least what's planned, our first issue should come out late December to early 2026.
Okay.
We're going to be releasing single issues. So what first we're going to do is put them online. But I at least personally, there's no replacing a real physical book. So I do want like physical prints for each issue. Or maybe like kind of like what I mentioned, like the Archie comics, they put like collections, kind of like an omnibus. No, I wouldn't say like that long, but you know, like collections of let's say 5-10 issues, and we want to at least make a Kickstarter at some point, or you know, get funds because we're all broke college students. You know, we're just doing this out of our own pocket. We're just doing this, you know, because we really feel passionate about our story. And if you don't mind, like me touching on the subject you just brought up about, like, you know, the ending. It's kind of like what you said about Robert Kirkman, like how he was like at 20 issues, and then you know, he had advice, he changed things, and you know, things kicked off. You know, we have an outline, we have plot beats, like this is what's going to happen in this part of the story, blah 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 blah, and then here's the ending. You know, we have a lot of ideas because, you know, we're a group. We sometimes we just like wake up in the middle of like 2 a.m. like, I have a crazy idea for this, but you know, sometimes things just don't stick, and I think that's what's great about us. It's we have people to bounce off ideas, and then, like for example, not to spoil or anything, but you know, in let's say I think it was like chapter 18 or 19 or something. I had a whole plan for what the whole final part of that arc was going to be. But then, like, reading it, we're like, this isn't working out the way like I planned it. So we had to restructure it, and I think it's better now. But, you know, things change. Like, it's never going to stick as how you want it. And I think that's a good way to, like, see your story. You know, you can always, like, evolve it. You can change things. You know the plot beats, but the way it gets there is going to change, and I think sometimes it's for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, John.
Oh, have you looked into any scholarship opportunities? I don't even know if there's such a thing as sort of a endowment for aspiring comic creators. Elizabeth, I think you might have.
Yeah, so I'm really big into scholarships. That's why I'm here in college. So yeah, I have
Just
looked
here for
into
the money.
yeah, no, literally, that's all I'm here for. Totally not the education, but yeah. So I have looked into scholarships and different grants for aspiring creators. I've mentioned them to Alan and Lalo. A lot of them are very author based, so I'm still looking one specifically maybe for comics. But there are some. There's like this big organization called the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. So obviously, I think all of us like know Scholastic. Like you grew up reading like
Yep.
Scholastic books, right?
It's still around.
As I'm actually an alumni from them. I've won awards from them before.
Oh, awesome.
And so as part of being an alumni, I qualify to apply for a grant that will fund I forgot the certain amount of money, but it can fund a project that we have going on. So I do have to be a certain age though, so it's a bit of a waiting game for that, but we have been looking into scholarships and grants. Another thing is that in my community, I actually know someone who owns a comic book shop here. Actually, it's our city's #1 comic book shop. So we have talked about potentially distributing our comics through there, and I live in a very busy city. Is the way that I'll put it, and so lots of conventions happen here.
Good.
And we have a wide market that we can cater to.
Yeah, Angel mentioned conventions. You just mentioned it. Do conventions. Once you have that, you have your first issue is going to come out in December. You do a nice, if you can afford it, or get that nice print run going. Convention season is just a few months away from that. Start hitting the road as best you can. Without neglecting your studies, of course, or turn it into a paper, right? And get some college credit for going to conventions. See if you can work that magic. But
That's what we do.
yeah, but it's like if it's not there for you, see if you can create it, right? But get out there, meet your fans, and also, internet engagement. You guys know how important engagement is. You not only want them to be a fan of your work, you want them to be fans of you. Little TikTok videos promoting your book. I don't know if Flash animation's still a thing. Do a Flash animation of Haven,
you're so old.
like the old G.I. Joe comic cartoons that they did that led to the comic series or the cartoon series. So yeah, like again. You guys are in such a great position to look at everything that has been done before, tailor make it for you, and if need be, create something new just to get yourselves out there.
Yeah, it's really crucial only because right now, because you're at the stage where you haven't invested anything but time, which is still valuable. But once you start printing, then you're going into capital. So once you start spending your own money, you really have to think about, is that money being spent wisely? So I think one of the things that I would definitely recommend, definitely the shows, get yourself out there. You can actually print them on Xerox stuff, so you can do your own ash can stuff.
That's so punk rock and 80s. I love it.
Dude, like the first like freaking Ninja Turtles, they were Xerox copies, and they were just handed out, and it was underground. So you go to conventions, if you can't afford a table, because the table is $250. At bigger conventions, they're $600, which is crazy. And if you're going to be there for 8 hours for 3 days and not make your money back, then where's your your return on investment? Where's your RA? There has to be a return on that. So you can't spend more and make less, kind of thing. So you're in school right now. Just Xerox the hell out of an ash can, and you can pass those out at conventions, even if it just sends them to your Instagram page. Then you have more people follow you. Keep loading that stuff with content on there, because you do have content. I'm just looking at the Invisible crossover stuff, which is pretty cool. And it almost reminds me of like did you guys ever play Zelda?
Yes.
Oh, dude, it reminds me so much.
It's got that, it's got that Naruto vibe.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like some suggestions. Check out some like early Jim Mahfood, like peak Jim Mahfood, late '90s, early 2000s, the Girl Scout stuff. Jonan Vasquez,
yes.
Jonan Vasquez, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Just to kind of get out of that open up your horizons a little bit for things that I think would resonate with you artistically as well. Roman Dirge, Lenore. You probably know Ronan and Jonan from Invader Zim, right? That's the
Yeah,
comics they did before. And I would say, look, on the mainstream, Alan, you said you're a DC guy. Do yourself a favor, read James Robinson's Starman with Tony Harris and Peter Snedberg. You will love that. And please, everybody, just read Sandman. Don't worry about the guy who wrote it. Let Sam Keith be your introductory host to this world.
I don't know. That's such a heavy read.
I know, but you know what?
It's great, but it's so. I'd rather read Swamp Thing.
That's true. Swamp Thing gets heavy too. I just think that's something that, again, it's something that can show you what comics can do.
Yes.
In the fact that it's historically themed and just
well, it's a great masterclass in a writer.
Yeah.
Writing a comic.
But also writing for each individual artist that takes up each arc.
Yes, I agree. All right.
Look, if you want to you want to be lazy about it, watch the Netflix. It's one of the most closest adaptations of anything, to the point where they even books out. But they did a really good job with this, to the point where each storyline is lit. They can't mimic like Mark Hempel's artwork, but they can light it to look like his artwork. So
So like I said, just stay really active with social media. You guys know this. I'm not telling you anything new. I would just diversify the content. So put yourself drawing one day, one of your sessions, the way you're drawing background stuff, and just put it on there. Liz, get on there and talk about your writing process and stuff like that. Just to draw people into what it is what it's like to be behind the scenes. You guys are young. You're still doing other things. We're in a position where this is not my full-time job either. I have a full-time job. This is a passion of mine. How do we make time to do the thing that we're very passionate about? And passion is one of those really wavy things. It's a really intangible thing where it can be strong one day, and then all of a sudden you just throwing up your hands in the air like, F this, I'm never doing this again in my life, kind of thing. What's really cool is that you guys have each other as a team to kind of push us forward. But yeah, definitely get out there, run the shows, whether they're small or big, just to drive more people to your social media content, so that when you're ready to launch a Kickstarter, rather than having 10 people who are looking forward, or 100 people looking forward to this book coming up, that you have a couple thousand. So that way when it does go up, that it gets funded almost immediately. I've been part of numerous failed books on Kickstarter, and I know what it feels like. And I've been part of books that have succeeded, and I know what that feels like as well. Is it work? Oh. It's so much effing work, guys. Like, you have no idea what you're in for. I love seeing the glow in your eyes because you're at the very start of this thing, and I think you have something that's really cool. I want you guys to finish it. Yeah. So I'm going to hold you to your deadline that you want to be done by the dog's going to hold you to the deadline. But then, so you got one book that you want done at the end of the quarter of next year, and then the challenge is, okay, you know what? Once you give somebody the first issue, when is the second issue coming out? Is it 6 months down the road? How many people drop off after not getting enough content after a while? That's the thing that's difficult about ongoing series. So oftentimes when I talk to creators who are doing an ongoing series book, 20 chapters, 30 chapters, they end up doing 5 chapter chunks and doing a graphic novel. So that way their audience gets an entire story arc in one shot, rather than not knowing when the next issue is going to come out. So you have a ton of options. Yeah. But think about the time that you're investing, how much time you have now, what's going on in your life, and what makes the most sense in order to get what it is that you have in here and here out to people.
And a lot of times too, it's the money you make on the issue that has just come out.
Money you make.
But also whatever money you might make, that's the money that's going to have to go to pay for the next issue, and so forth, right? So there's always that. But yeah, like Angel said, man, you guys have the youth behind you. Like time is on your side right now, and you guys are pretty far ahead of the game that a lot of people who enter this for the first time, or have even been planning for a long time. So I think you guys got a good thing going here, and just keep it going. Don't get discouraged, and don't be afraid to pivot when you need to pivot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. I have anything else? What?
I just have one more question. Terminus Comics. How did that come about? It sounded cool.
No.
It's Lalo. Do you want to explain that? Because
So
Yeah.
it's kind of lame, but if I remember correctly, so you know how most like comics have like, especially stuff like Scott Pilgrim. There's like bands involved.
Mhm.
So we're gonna do something like that, but we're gonna use it more as like a plot device instead of just like, oh, these guys are like cool. And the band's name is Terminus Comics, and we thought that sounded so cool, so we just repurposed it for Terminus Comics.
Cool.
yeah, it's literally the exact same.
I came up with
logo.
the name, by the way. It was I did it.
Do you guys own the domain?
No, we don't. Yeah, we
Buy
gotta
it
like, get
right
into
away.
legal stuff
Yes.
about
Just
that.
buy the domain and hold it. Just hold it.
Yeah,
That's all you need to do, and then you can work on everything else. So don't tell anybody else the name.
That's
you're
kind
good.
of
You're
that whole
golden.
band. That band thing is funny. That it's
Yes.
the band that exists in the world of the comic kind of a thing, or is this?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's very James Gunn. It's Mighty Crowd.
It is. We have the same thing in Project Shadowbreed.
Yep.
Just some grunge band that Justin knew that he's a fan of, and they make their way into the comic. It's a big thing. It's cool. I like it. Yeah, but definitely get the domain name. It's like $12.99 a year. You could hold it for the rest of your life, and then you get to go. You're golden there. All right. Anything else you guys want to dish out there to the rest of the world before we wrap this up?
Yeah,
Follow you
so-
on Instagram, right? At Haven the Comic
yeah. Haven
Alright.
the Comic or Terminus Comics.
or Terminus Comics. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Lalo, do you want to add anything?
Oh, I was just so. My mom's been she's been like really hyping me up for this podcast. And she's calling me right now. She doesn't know like if we're done or not. You want to say hi to her?
Sure, that'd be
Okay,
fine.
hold on.
Let's see how to.
Oh, there
Hi,
you go.
Lala's
Mom.
mom. This is a first. We've never had a creator's mom on before.
That's a fourth wall. I like that.
Oh, my mom was also she was also pretty excited when she heard. She's not here right now, but she's here in spirit.
My mom was like literally like before I started the podcast, she was like knocking on my door like, "You got this."
Is that what you're gonna wear? Sure, you don't want to wear a suit?
Yeah.
Hey, we're wearing our merch. We're wearing.
No, literally,
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
Dress
See,
for the
you
job
gotta
you
have
Get our
want.
red bubble.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
great.
All right, well, listen, guys. Good luck with what you guys got going on. Just get at it. You got some really great foundation that you have here. So it'd be great to see where you guys are in 6 months. So
Yeah,
just
maybe we'll
hit
have
me
you
up.
back.
come back onto the show and then kind of let us know where you are.
Yeah,
in the
dispatches from the front lines. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Well,
All
shout
right,
out
guys.
to you guys for having us on. Thank you so much.
you.
Don't forget us when you're famous.
Yes,
We want.
Yes.
Don't worry.
I want a signed copy of something. I don't care what it is and whatnot. But yeah, so yeah, just hit us up when you guys are good to go, and then we'd love to have you back on. Cool.
Okay,
Right on.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Good luck.
Thank
good luck.
you,
All right,
guys.
guys.
Thank
That
you.
is our
Bye.
show.
Thank you.
So if you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast. Better yet, tell 1,000 of your friends to just come and join us. We're here every week. If you want to be on a podcast like these guys from Terminus Comics, such a cool name. Get the domain name, please. Just go to indiecreatorcomics.com, fill out the podcast form. John and I would love to have you on to talk about what you got going on. At the very end, please support your local comic book shop, because without them, we would not be able to do what we love to do. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, read something indie made and support creator owned.